What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Fuzzy Balls on YouTube. Francisco Rojas here. This is my first episode here. First vlog since returning with Fuzzy Balls. So before I get to this video, if you know my other work, I do a lot of baseball work on YouTube as well. I have a YouTube channel. It's called The Shift. And I'll have a link to that in the description box. Just did a World Series preview. I know I'm wearing an Angels shirt here. It's Ohtani. I'm a big Ohtani fan. But my Philadelphia Phillies are in the World Series. It is insane. And just did a World Series preview with a guest by the name of David Esser, who I've had on the show for multiple episodes over the past year or two. Great guy. Great baseball writer, very insightful. So go check that out. I'll have that link in the description box if you're a baseball fan. But sticking to tennis here, my first video here, I am a little biased. When I got into tennis, or when I got back into tennis, I got into tennis in 2014, but kind of got back into it in 2018. And when I got back into it, man, one of my favorite players to watch off the bat was Dominic Thiem, no doubt. And especially because, like, what really got back into it was playing. I was playing, multiple times per week. I wanted to play like every single day, and I was watching tennis almost every single day too. And the one player that I had always watched, man, and I loved to watch. I was a big Kyrgios guy, of course. If you know me, I love Nick Kyrgios, but Dominic Thiem, I love Dominic Thiem, the way he plays, the disgusting one-hand backhand, the toughness that he plays with. He has a very good forehand. Just especially the backhand, just one of the best one-handed backhands in the game, at least for when he was, at his peak. Maybe the only ones that would rival it were, Wawrinka and Federer in his prime. So Dominic Thiem was one of my favorite players to watch when I came right in. He was, top 10 player. He was always at the top and always having good, good finishes in majors and the high level tournaments, Masters, whatever. And, getting to see him win the U.S. Open in 2020, regardless of how that played out, he won a major. I thought he deserved it. He was such a good clay court player for so long, and Rafael Nadal was always standing in his way, and he never was able to actually get the title. And he finally did at the U.S. Open in 2020. Was very happy. But a little after that, I forget what time period it was. Maybe it was it mid 2021, he had a wrist injury, and that sidelined him for about 8 months. He was not able to defend his U.S. Open title in 2021, unfortunately. And he finally came back after 8 months, and he wasn't the same, right? He was not the same player. He was, he was losing matches left and right, and he had to go to play challenger events. This is Dominic Thiem we're talking about. Had been to major finals, had been to an Australian Open final, multiple Roland Garros finals, wins the U.S. Open. This is Dominic Thiem we're talking about, one of the top players for a while, for a couple of years at his peak, and he was always a good player. And he was playing challenger events, and he just hasn't been the same. But recently, I read an article, I think it was by his coach. I'll have the link to the article in the description box. I believe it was by somebody on his team, possibly, that basically said he's on his way back to being even better than he was before. And that got me thinking, man. And they got me super excited. And if you've been watching tennis lately, if you've been watching, some of his matches, he's had big match wins lately. He beat Hubert Hurkacz. He was ranked 11th in the world. He beat Tommy Paul, who I never thought Tommy Paul would ever get to where he's at. Not that he's a bad player or was ever a bad player, but he's ranked 30th in the world. He's had good results. He beat him just yesterday in Vienna, and that's awesome to see him playing the. He's Austrian, and to see him playing at the level he's playing in his home tournament, it's awesome. It's awesome to see. And this just has me thinking. I mean, I'm getting excited here. Tennis could really, really, really use him back at the top. It could really use him. And this is like a tease. I really hope that one of his coaches was talking about him possibly getting back to peak form and then some. I mean, don't do this to me, because tennis could really use him back at the top. I mean, boy, they could use him. Not to say that they're doing, it's the top level of the men's game right now is in a bad spot. I mean, Carlos Alcaraz just won a U.S. Open, and Jannik Sinner's an incredible player, and Kyrgios is finally taking it seriously. I know he's not super duper young, and I still think Djokovic has some left in the tank. Maybe you give Nadal like one more French Open. I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, we didn't know Federer would go to the age he went to. But regardless of how maybe well the men's game is doing right now, and maybe you thought it was going to fall off for a little while after these legends retire, but I think it's in a good spot. It's in a good spot. But it would be even in an even better spot if Thiem comes back and is the top 5, top 10 ATP player that he's been in the past. And I mean, if this means he can get back to peak form, then I mean, I can definitely see him winning a French Open, in the future, and I can maybe see him win another U.S. Open. Who knows? I mean, I thought at some point he could win multiple majors, and he probably would have won a few Frenches if it wasn't for Rafa. But we all know, Rafa's the best ever to do it on the clay, and just in general all time has the most majors ever. But the tennis is just to keep it short here. Tennis is just more exciting when Dominic Thiem is in peak form. I mean, I remember 2018. That's when I got back into it. 2018 U.S. Open. Him and Nadal had an unbelievable quarterfinal matchup. I think I stayed up till, I think it was 1 or 2 in the morning. They went from 8 or 9 at night to 2 in the morning. It was like almost a 5-hour match. And I watched that match a million times, back on YouTube, because it was just that good of a match between them. Thiem ended up losing that match. I mean, Nadal was Nadal. But that Dominic Thiem is what we want to see, and what we want back on the tour. I mean, Indian Wells, I was watching some extended highlights of his Indian Wells performance in 2019 against Roger Federer when he was destroying the ball. I mean, I remember watching that, and they were saying his forehand, they were some of the hardest, literally, I think he was hitting some of the hardest forehands he was ever hitting. I mean, the adrenaline was pumping. He was playing some really good tennis. This was peak Dominic Thiem. I think at his best, he was ranked 3rd in the world. And I think that was right after, that was May 9th of 2020, or excuse me, March 9th of 2020 to February 22nd of 2021. And I think Indian Wells at this time was March. I think it was March of 19. This was before pre-pandemic. And I just remember Dominic Thiem, that he ended up winning that Indian Wells. That was his first Masters 1000 title. That Dominic Thiem was amazing. And that Dominic Thiem was good for tennis, had a lot of fans. And if he can get back to the top of tennis, back to the top of his game, boy, that would do wonders for tennis. Yes, you have Alcaraz, but you can have Alcaraz, Sinner, Thiem. Nadal's still here. I mean, hopefully he can give us a few more years, but who knows if his body is. Djokovic, Kyrgios, who are some of the other, even you got your Medvedevs, you got your CC passes, you got your Rublevs, you got your Felix Auger-Aliassimes, Taylor Fritz at the top, in the top 10 as a male American. Do I love Taylor Fritz to maybe win a major one day? I don't know, but that's besides the fact. It doesn't matter. Talking about adding Thiem back to the mix is great for tennis, great for fans who like him, and he's an exciting player to watch. And if what his coach said is true, or one of his coaches said could come to fruition, man, that would be so good for tennis. I'm excited. And watching him play against Tommy Paul yesterday, that was a gutsy win, man. Super gutsy. He saved 2 match points, comes back, beats Tommy Paul. He's probably going to have Medvedev next. He's playing Bashashvili right now as we speak. But coming back, Dominic Thiem, I just need Dominic Thiem to come back and be full form Dominic Thiem. Like, this is just super exciting. That's that's all I got, man. I'm super pumped. I want to see a top tier Dominic Thiem back. But what say you? You let me know. What do you think about Thiem? What do you think about Thiem's little turnaround here, possibly? Do I think he might make the Australian main draw? Who knows? I think his coach said in the article that he thinks he can make a return in the main draw in the Australian Open, but I also saw something recently that says he probably wouldn't. But who knows? I would love to see it. But again, you let me know. What do you think of Thiem's turnaround? Do you think that he can make a return to the top of the ATP rankings and the top of tennis in general? Because tennis could use him, man. Tennis could use him. You let me know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know on Twitter at Rojas_media_. Let me know on Twitter as well as Instagram. It's at FuzzyBallsContent on IG. Let me know there as well. That's it, and I'll see you guys soon.